everybody, and welcome to the Echo Effect. I'm here with Andrea Sears today, who I'm going to introduce briefly. But my favorite thing that we're doing, I don't even know if I can say that we're doing this, but I think we're doing this, is I'm going to hear a story that I haven't heard yet from our very first location of the Princess Club. I don't think it was the very first Princess Club that you're going to tell me a story from, but I'm going to start there. So I have my notes here. I'm going to try to focus on them with my microphone. Andrea, I remember meeting you in language school. Is that true? Okay.
Yes.
So
Language school 2009 in
my
Costa
gosh, are you
Rica.
serious? Oh my God. Died a long time ago. And
Yeah.
I thought I spoke Spanish, but I did not. So in my second term of service with Wycliffe, they sent me to language school because I was going to be giving workshops, and that was very nice of them. And I remember, if I remember correctly, it was just the three of us, you, your husband Seth, and me in a few
Yeah.
classes, right?
In a level all our own. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's good or bad. Were we above or below everyone else? I don't remember, but we were.
I don't want to be braggy, but if I recall, we were the people that had some Spanish. We just needed to refine and improve it.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had
Yeah.
Italian Spanish, which was that they told me when I moved to Peru, just speak Italian, you'll figure it out. And that was not true, by the way.
Oh,
In the
I
mountains.
had French Spanish, so no wonder we were placed in the same class.
The brothers, the lingual brothers. Ugh. And then I remember hearing like you and Seth and I would talk. I remember walking through parks together. I think we hung out some. I loved your kids, of course, and because they're adorable and because I love kids. And I just remember hearing your vision for Costa Rica and your vision for, did you already know you were going to La Carpio when I met you?
We did. Yeah.
So
That's why we went to Costa Rica.
that is where I ended up having my heart knit into the soil by God for several years, and where the Princess Club started, which is Echo International's first like core curriculum. And I think we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But if you could remind me and tell everybody like what brought you to Costa Rica, and maybe you can fill in like the rest of your ministry history. And I think you're also doing something super special right now too. So please share.
Yeah. So we ended up in Costa Rica because God started a process in our lives. When we read this book that our pastor gave us at the time, we were helping to plant a church in the U.S. And we tease him to this day when we go and speak at that church that he was the one that ruined our lives by giving us this book, kind of sarcastically and winky, because obviously we wouldn't have it any other way. But he handed us this book called Rich Christians in an Age of Hunger by Ronald Sider, a Christian economist. And we read that book and found it deeply challenging. I think he handed it to us because he knew we were already being challenged in this area, and we were processing some calling issues with him. And that was just the clincher. It was the straw that broke the camel's back we have an unbelievable amount of resources, not necessarily us personally, but yes, us personally in comparison to most people in the world, but also as a nation. What are we doing with it? Why are we spending it on perfume and video games and Amazon instead of helping others and solving these major problems in the world that could be solved? And so that sort of began our heart. We knew we wanted to work with the poor at that point, but we had this niggling feeling in our bones that we didn't want to work in certain ways with the poor that involved just giving handouts and showing up and doing feeding programs or things like that. Those things have their place, but we wanted to see real transformation in poor communities where people's lives would change and they would become able to care for themselves and not be relying on outside help and become dependent on others. That if the United States, or United Statesians, as we call ourselves in Spanish, Americans, as we call ourselves in English, are going to be helpful, it's not helpful to swoop in with all of this aid and just make people dependent on us because we haven't helped countries to develop. We didn't have the words to talk about all that, but that definitely at that point, but it definitely influenced what agency we wanted to spend time with, what context we wanted to be in, and how we wanted to work. And so we visited La Carpio in kind of our vision casting, trying to figure out where we were going to go, and just felt that that community was calling to us. We had people that didn't know anything about us or our backgrounds basically describe roles of, we need men like this to come and work in this community. We need women like this to come and work in this community. And my husband and I left that meeting and looked at each other and went, They don't even know us, and they just described each of us to a T. So we went home and
Mm.
started fundraising to
Mhm.
go to Costa Rica, and then over the years, as we
Mm.
began to work with people in poverty, really know them, enter deeply into their lives,
Mm.
we started to gain that vocabulary that I just
Mhm.
elucidated and started to
Mhm.
see how certain types of relief, as
Mm.
elucidated in the book When Helping Hurts,
Mhm.
certain types of relief were helpful if the situation was an emergency, but not helpful in really changing people's lives.
Right.
And so we began to really push into the development space
Mhm.
and figure out how we could help people with development, which led us to found our own ministry,
Mm.
which focuses on holistic development in the area of keeping kids in school, helping adults to find work, and preventing violence in the community. Because those were the three things that people talk to us all the time about
Yeah,
in their own community of these are
for
the
sure.
problems that we face. These are the effects that they have on our lives.
Mm.
This is why they keep us stuck
Hmm.
instead of moving forward and developing.
Mhm.
And so we just began to collaborate with them and dream
Mm.
about what we could do to help with those three things.
And tell us the names of your organizations so that people can find you, and I'll put links so people can look you up
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so in 2012, once we had sort of gotten our bearings in the community and decided how we wanted to work, we founded an organization called Give Dignity, which is
Mm.
give-dignity.org,
Perfect.
for reaching out to our website.
Mhm. That's awesome.
Yeah, and the concept there is to train Americans as we talk
Mm.
about ministry overseas and helping the poor. It's to reach Americans that are still maybe in that
Mm.
mode of thinking, oh,
Mhm.
well, we donate stuff,
Right.
and we give bracelets and we give
Mhm.
sunglasses and we give t-shirts and we give shoes and we give things that people
Mm.
need, but it doesn't change their life circumstances really. The next day, they're still in that terrible,
Mm.
violent situation in their community or their home. They still don't have a job and can't provide for themselves. They
Mm.
still lost out on an education
Yeah.
and don't know how to move forward in their lives. And so that's our main message to our donors is we don't want to give stuff or
Mm.
even just give money.
Mhm.
We want to give people dignity, dignity that they're valuable human beings, they're made in God's image. They can be productive individuals that take care of themselves and don't need to be reliant on handouts from someone
Mhm.
else.
And I don't know if we can go into the details about this, what I'm about to say, because I know I need to hear your story and we don't have forever.
Mhm.
But I can just say from 20, almost 20 years, actually more than that in development and aid, and I am not an
Mhm.
expert, but I have not seen many organizations flourish and succeed in meeting their goals the way you guys have. And I just want to say
Thank you.
praise God, praise you for your hard work. And I know that you've done that through a lot of blood, sweat, and research and
Yeah.
doing the hard thing that doesn't come easy and may not be the easiest to fundraise for. Because there's, if anybody didn't know, there's not money. If you're really
Yeah.
a nonprofit, you have no profit, which is why we are so
Yeah.
grateful that other people are actually willing to partner with groups that are doing things like what you guys are doing. I'm just so grateful for you, and I love telling people about you, and I don't even really know everything that's happened in the last I don't know how long we have not been in close contact, but it's been a while since I was in Costa
Yeah. A
Rica.
few years. Yeah.
I think I just wanted to add one thing, which is that I think you need to mention what you do these days because you are teaching at
Teaching at John Brown University as an
Mm.
adjunct instructor. So we stayed in Costa Rica 13 years to establish the ministry. And then when we got a local team that was capable of the day to day and wonderful leaders they are, culturally, linguistically fluent, fabulous, same vision for the ministry. And so we felt in
Mm.
2022 that things had stabilized and we
Mm.
were free to take a step back from the
Mm.
ministry.
Amazing.
We did that when we began to see like that we were starting to be in the way. Like, everyone wants to work themselves out of a job, and we actually did. And we started to become irritated when we would see people try to go around our very talented local staff and get to us just because
Oh.
we were the founders. We were the people perceived as the ones with the power and the
Yeah.
resources, coming in from the outside.
Yep.
And we were like, this is not working. Our
Yep.
local team is completely capable, and
Mhm.
we need to not be here to provide the temptation for people to try to jump
Mhm.
over them to get to
Mhm.
us. If we're not here, people will just have to interact with them and
Mhm.
go, do that on a day to day basis. So
Amazing.
we felt like it was time to go. So in 22, we relocated to Siloam Springs, Arkansas, which is
Mm.
where John Brown University is located.
Very cool.
My husband works in their international office as the director of a particular scholarship program that brings Central American students on scholarship. So that's a
So
great
great.
fit
Yeah.
for him. And
Wow.
then I do some adjunct teaching in the Bible department. I teach
Mm,
Christian formation class, I
mm,
teach community development class, which I can bring experience as a
mm.
practitioner to and not just
Yeah.
theory,
Yeah. Awesome.
intercultural communication, and for this fall, I'm developing a missions class. So
Mm. Oh,
it's
exciting.
been a good
That's
yeah, it's been
cool.
a fun way to round out my continuing involvement
Yeah.
as director of Give Dignity, but also I need some human interaction,
Yeah,
like, on the
right.
ground where I am, and so it can't
I
all
feel
be by
that
Zoom and messages and WhatsApp with people in La Carpio or I'm
for
gonna get
sure.
weird.
I know, right? I'm like, that's why wait, we're still not live. Oh my gosh. I just want to echo how, again, maybe y'all listening don't know that that's very unusual. Listen for when someone you support or a ministry that you're reading about says, oh, we don't need to be here anymore. Because that's actually the goal. The goal should be not that you're necessarily going to leave the country, that's not a given, but if you're building up the dignity, value, and worth of people that you're serving, they are going to need to take over because they cannot stay babies forever. And you don't want them to
Mhm.
because the Bible does not teach us to like keep drinking milk and don't ever eat meat because you're fine. We're here to take care of you. No, Paul's always pushing
Yeah.
people out of the I don't know, baby carriage? I'm not sure what I'm
Cradle?
trying to
I
say
don't
there. Trailer? Car seat?
know.
Sit in the back seat. So I could go off there. I really do want to. I'm gonna say it really, really fast. I was in a side note to confirm that I was in a conference of some kind and I met a guy, nameless. I won't name who he worked for and I won't name where he was. But he had gone a long, long, long way and taken his family, and they had come back after 5 years. And I, like, literally, when he said it, we were there for 5 years, I reached out my hand and I patted his hand and I went, "I'm so sorry." He was like, "For what?" And I was like, "That you had to leave." He's like, "No, we didn't. We're celebrating. Our work was done." And I'm like, "What?" First of all, that he was that happy, and second of all, that he planted a church that was multiplying. And when the
Yeah.
multiplying church is multiplied, he was like, "Okay, that's 3 generations. I'm out of here." Because if
Mhm.
I stay,
Yeah.
it's exactly what you said. I become the focus. I am the crutch. And I can do that. And in his words, that could be a crutch for him too. So like we're not always,
Yeah.
innocent of wanting. It's a sacrifice to leave the place you made your home and put so much of your
Mhm.
heart into. So doing the
Yeah, when
hard
you're trying
thing.
to develop a community, you
Mm.
become an excuse not for people in the community not to step up and become
Well,
leaders
that's
because they're
true.
like, "Well, they're here, they've got it."
Yeah.
And so the best thing once you've got some capable community people
Mm,
going,
mm,
leaders in the community going, is to step back and go,
mm-hmm,
"Okay, now you lead,
mm-hmm,
and you develop the next team of leaders that
mm-hmm,
come behind you, the next generation of leaders."
mm-hmm.
Because if we all just stick around, then everyone thinks that they don't need to step up and
Yeah.
press into leadership because it's covered by someone else.
It's like a symbiotic codependent relationship that was not intended by God. And
Yeah.
interestingly, the first Princess Club that I ever taught was with you. And it was the first
Mhm.
time I had everything written down and we were going through it and trying to see if these were like lessons that worked. And then
Mhm.
I did a bunch of stuff by myself and then I
Mhm.
got sick and left.
Yeah.
I am my first client. I'm my first person to talk about identity and value with, and I'm my first helper that I will spend time, quite a bit of my time, helping people not help in a way that is actually harmful. And I regret,
Yeah.
and I have done a lot of work so that my organization doesn't replicate this. I regret that when you and I were not able to keep teaching together, I didn't wait and work
Mm.
towards somebody else joining me because then it could have been
Mm.
replicated from the very beginning. So it's just a,
Yeah.
you don't want to. God has still used it. He's still definitely done something with the Princess Club, but I'm always
Yeah.
telling people, I'm not telling you this in a void. I'm telling you, you need to build into the community. In fact, I started not even giving people the curriculum. Even if we have a signed MOU, I don't give them the curriculum until they can tell me they have one person on their team from the local community because otherwise, and sometimes it
Awesome.
doesn't happen and we don't go
Mhm.
forward and it's very weird to them. But I'm like,
Mhm.
you don't understand. I really, really know this deep in my soul.
Yeah.
I've been the person doing that and I know it's not great. So rescue me by
Yeah.
telling me the story you have for me, Andrea.
Uh,
I don't even know how to
so
title it or frame it, but I know she has something.
yeah, so I think that Nadia was from our 2nd
Mm,
or maybe 3rd Princess Club, but she was
okay.
early days Princess Club,
Mm,
unfortunately. I don't think she was our 1st,
yeah,
so you didn't get to meet her, but
yeah, fair.
Nadia was, in our 2nd or 3rd
Mm,
when she was about 10, I wanna say,
mm,
when we did the Princess Club. She did great in Princess Club. I became aware during Princess Club that she had a really hard situation at home. Mom was abusive, and she talked about that some. Dad was in jail, and so I just did the best that I could in forming a relationship with her, speaking into her identity as Princess Club is meant to do, providing a safe place for her to talk about hard things and have instead of
mm,
harshness and meanness and unkindness reflected back at her or echoed back at her, just to
mm,
have a person that echoes love and acceptance and encouragement to her. And she's a member, so she's one of our sponsored kids. So the area for education in which we work is to sponsor kids to keep them in school.
mm,
And we try to walk the long road with these kids. We try to get them in when they're in early grade school, walk with them through high school graduation to really have deep relationships with them
mm,
by the time they graduate. And so she's in our sponsorship program. So after Princess Club, she continued in our sponsorship program. We continued in touch, but less
mm,
frequent touch because the Princess Club wasn't happening still.
mm, mm.
We did later do a follow-up to Princess Club for teen girls to, like, get
Cool.
them back together and sort of do a reunion for teen girls that wanted to deepen into this message and, discipleship, and so she was a part of that, and so that got us into closer contact again, and then after that, she continued in the sponsorship program. Years go by, and I really haven't been super close with her,
Mm,
except that I did hear her mom finally attacked her viciously enough that she was removed from the home. She was placed with someone else in the community who really isn't a blood relationship at all, but that she
wow.
considered like a grandmother. And that woman said that she would take Nadia in and take care of her until she grew up.
That's amazing.
So I had contact during that process because
Mm,
she wanted a witness of an adult with the child government services
mm,
to testify and say, "Yes, I'm aware that this has been an abusive situation and she needs to be removed from the home
mm.
in order to terminate parental rights." And then we celebrated together when she was placed with
Aw.
her grandmother, and she continued along and
Hmm.
she began to really flourish at that point. She was,
Oh,
I believe, with them for the last 3 years of high school.
right.
And after that point, someone who was not able to focus on her schoolwork before and was really struggling with her grades was suddenly someone who had a positive, stable environment to live in and started getting straight
Mm,
A's like I had never seen her do
that's
before.
amazing.
And it was amazing. And so I saw her beginning to flourish and sort of maintain some contact with
Mm,
her. Well, last year she graduated.
mm.
And so we always have a special a celebration with
Oh,
with our graduates each year. We take them
yeah.
and their families out to dinner to celebrate the kids' accomplishments of graduating from high school. Many of them are the first in their family to graduate from high
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
And we want to reward and celebrate and congratulate not just them, but also
Mm,
their families who have been a tremendous social and emotional support to them to
mm,
get them to that point and valuing their education. And so we did that. Her grandmother was able to come with her. So she just came to
mm.
that by herself.
Okay.
And she showed up. The moment she showed up, we were going out. So
Mm,
we told everyone to meet us at the ministry center, and then we would head out on a bus together to our destination, which was to go out to eat at a
mm.
restaurant together. And the moment she showed up, she began to talk to me immediately about this boyfriend that she
Huh.
had that she was not enjoying
Hmm.
because he was being very controlling. He was sort of exhibiting a pattern of behavior that we had talked about that princesses should not be subject to, right?
That's
In
right.
terms of someone who has worth and dignity and
Yeah.
value and doesn't have to be controlled or manipulated or abused
Mhm.
by other people. And he hadn't yet reached the point of abuse, but he was showing a lot of the precursors of abuse. He was extremely controlling. He was mad that she
Mm.
was going out to a dinner all dressed up and he didn't
Okay.
know the people that she was going out with. And he was texting her and, kind of punishing
Mm,
her for doing
mm,
that. And he wanted to tell her how to dress and how to look and how to act and how to be. And
mm.
so she starts of her own volition telling me how she's very unhappy with all of this with her boyfriend, was this moment where on the way to the restaurant, she and I were just talking about that, and I was reminding her of some Princess Club concepts and that that is not how she needs to be treated by someone else, and that God has better things for her and that she doesn't have to settle for this, when in reality this is a very normal way for a relationship to happen in this community. It's not all that odd for her context, but she knew something was wrong because those
Mhm.
seeds were planted early
Mm.
in her pre-adolescence, even at age 10,
Yeah.
that she deserved something different. And
Amen.
I kid you not, by the time we got to the restaurant, she told me, "I'm gonna break up with him." And she sat at the other end of the table for dinner. We had this big, long table, and so I wasn't anywhere near her during dinner. But after dinner, we get back on the bus to leave, and she was like, "Yeah, I sent him a text while we were at dinner saying that we're done."
That's amazing.
And I was
Oh,
like, "What a wonderful story to bring home." A very
yeah.
long-term relationship that started with Princess Club,
Mhm.
but continued through the years and produced a young woman
Mhm.
who is empowered, who
Mhm.
knows what she is worth, who knows that she doesn't have to settle for a toxic or abusive
Mhm.
relationship. And she just needed that brief reminder to come and talk to me and have someone echo that back to her like, "Yes,
Mhm.
this is not okay.
Yeah.
Something needs to change, and it sounds like you've tried to get him to change his way of
Right.
relating to you, and that has not worked, and maybe he's
Yeah.
just not capable of that. Maybe this is not the right person for you,"
Yeah.
and immediately acted on that conclusion. So I was so proud of her because I had not pressured her into that or
Yeah,
said it like,
no.
"You've got to break up with this guy," or anything
I'm
like that. I was
sure.
waiting for her to come to her own conclusion, and she did it quickly. And I know it would not have been quick if we had not had the Princess Club and then
Yeah.
later the continuing the relationship. That it would have been
That's
starting from ground zero, and she wouldn't have even known what a person like me would tell her about a relationship
right.
like that. But because we had that foundation,
Oh.
she just needed a quick refresher on, "I am
Mhm.
valuable. I don't have to accept
Mhm.
treatment like that.
Mhm.
That's it. I'm done with this guy."
I mean, we need that reaffirmation, especially when we're flying in the face of our community.
Yeah.
Like
The
culturally,
culture.
you
Yeah.
need to have a man at all times. You need to have babies as fast as you can so you have someone to support you when you're older. You need like there's all these artificial, I don't want to call them lies, but I think
Mhm.
they're lies. These artificial
Yeah.
props that you need culturally, and if it's going to harm you and if you deserve better, it's pretty powerful to actually not just hear that, but believe it and then actually do something.
Mhm.
Wow, I'm very proud of her too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's so great that she had your consistent presence in her life as well. Like she knew you and she knew that you were someone she could talk to about that, which is probably why she
Mhm.
started talking before you got on the bus.
Yeah, I think she did, and I think she knew by then. I mean, she
Hmm.
knew what I would say, she just needed to have me say it to her
Yeah.
and have her own doubts and concerns be
Mhm.
reflected in me and
Mhm.
have that reflected back at her, and then she was
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, okay, I'm not crazy here," you
Yeah.
know? So I suspect she brought it up
Mm.
with me because she knew exactly what I would say and that she
Yes.
it would feel empowering enough to her to finally break the tie with a guy that
Yeah.
she kinda probably felt tied to deeper than she wanted to be, you know?
Mhm. And this is not a problem that is only in developing, challenging places. This is
Yeah,
I mean, we should do a separate podcast on you don't deserve to be in an abusive relationship. Here's what to do about it. Because I think we
yeah,
don't even in the Christian church especially are we've elevated talk about our culture that we have to fight against because we're never going to be in a culture
yeah.
that is the kingdom until we're in the kingdom completely. But
Mhm,
if we are elevating, stay together forever, no matter what, or be quiet and sit down, et cetera, et cetera. Don't have to go into
mhm.
it now.
Yeah,
But we have to fight that too. So kudos to her for doing the good fight and being in context with people that are the kind of people who would speak truth to you. Because that's something else that is not
yeah.
necessarily a given in any
Yeah, because I
location.
don't know that any of her friends
Mm,
would have said that's a toxic or bad relationship that you should get out of.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's being that unique voice in
Hmm.
people's lives that says something different and says, "It's okay. You feel pressure to jump at the first guy maybe that's showing you
Oh,
attention
yeah.
and pretending like he values you, at least in certain
Hmm.
ways, maybe as an object. but even that is better than no attention
Right.
to a lot of girls, and so that to be that unique voice that says, "No,
Mm.
don't jump at the first person that shows you any attention or says that they want to. You have a choice in this too, and you have to
Mhm.
decide who's right for you
Mhm.
and who shows you respect and kindness and love, and if they don't, that's not the person for you because you are a princess. You are part of God's family.
Yeah.
You are his daughter, and if someone is not treating you like you are, then there's a problem in that relationship." Yeah.
Amen. I remember when we wrote that lesson on there's a lesson called True Love in the stack of Princess Club lessons, and I think it may have been
Yes.
actually is it? Okay, you got that one too, because I think you got the most recent
Yes.
version from me recently. It wasn't in the
Mhm.
original, and I was in London with the team there that was doing the Princess Club in a multi-ethnic, very diverse religious location, and the kids in the group were also very, very diverse. And because I was there for so long, and I do this sometimes even just over the phone, over Zoom, I was like, okay, where do you see these girls in 5 years if every wish you have for them comes true? And then what is missing right now today to get them to that? And that was the first one. It was forgiveness. We need to talk about forgiveness and we need to talk about what is true love. Because especially in
Yeah.
it's easy to use the princess theme to talk about that because of course every princess has to have a prince. We
Yeah.
don't believe that. I will rant about the Princess Club name some other time. But it was really
Yeah.
powerful, and I remember I think that Nikita actually wrote that, and we worked on it a little bit together, but it was something that was from deep in the heart of other people too, that this identity shift, if we do know who we are and whose we are and what our inheritance is and what therefore our authority and power and what kind of abundant life God has created us for and has already given his life to give us. Wow.
Yes.
Like the play out of that in life, it does affect a lot of decisions we make in that in particular that love, we're his because he
Mhm.
loved us first and then his we are in his family forever because of his love and his sacrifice for us.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's the first, but it feels like it's often the first place where the enemy of our souls wants to chip away and be like, oh, but you don't have this
Yeah.
kind of love. So knowing what real
Mhm.
love actually is, and you can learn to recognize it, and you can recognize when it is not there and when it changes too.
Mhm.
Like this is not,
Yeah.
love is not supposed to be what am I trying to picture? A shackle holding you down.
Mhm. Yeah. I love those 2 lessons, and yeah, I think in the first iteration,
Mm,
they were add-on lessons. There were 13, I think, basic lessons, and then you ended up adding on the love and the
mm-hmm,
forgiveness ones.
mm-hmm.
And I think as I've gone through that again and again, those are 2 of the most important
Oh,
lessons
that's awesome.
in the entire Princess Club just because it hits
Yeah.
the girls in places where they really need that spoken into their lives. A lot of them have a lot to forgive, and they've been hurt a lot in
Mm,
their growing up years, and they don't know how to forgive or what that looks like. And there's a common misconception that forgiving someone means allowing them to continue to hurt us. And so we're allowed through that lesson to press into that in their lives and talk about what is forgiveness. Forgiveness is not saying that it was okay what this person did to you. And forgiveness is also not continuing to allow them to do
mhm,
it. We need to draw some boundaries so that they
mhm,
can't continue to do it. And and you are saying what you did to me is wrong, but I will not continue to carry this burden of unforgiveness or
mhm,
resentfulness or
mhm,
bitterness for the rest of my life because of it.
mhm.
It's freeing yourself,
Exactly. Yeah.
not making excuses for your abuser or for the
Mhm,
person that hurt you. And that really speaks to a lot of the girls where they are,
mhm.
along with that true love. What does
Yeah,
that look like?
yeah.
Lesson. And then those things play out during
Mm.
their adolescent years.
Oh,
And what a
yeah.
gift to see someone 8 years after our interaction in the Princess Club still applying those things to her life and
Absolutely.
really having been changed.
Mhm.
And then she'll go on when it is time, if she gets married and has kids,
Oh, yeah.
that gets replicated in the next generation because mom has different values than she would have if she
Mhm.
hadn't come alongside
And
this.
I can guarantee, almost without a doubt, that she will be another safe person in the community, whether or not she's
Mhm.
actually doing a program of some kind or discipling someone. She will be someone that another girl is gonna recognize, "Oh, I can talk to her." I
Mhm.
bless her with that. I pray for that because I think it's such a beautiful thing that what we echo goes
Yeah.
on and on.
Yes. Yes.
It's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that
Yeah.
story. And I think you've already said it, but if you could speak directly to the person who's on the fence, should I help get a Princess Club started? Should I make a donation? Should I sign up to teach? Like, what would you say to them to convince them this is a good idea, if you would?
Yeah, I would say this program is worth investing in, and these folks are worth investing in, the end recipients of this program,
Mm,
because identity is such a deep issue. The whole program works in the area of identity. And it's easy to do a program that tackles superficial behaviors.
mm,
But if that doesn't go deep enough into who am I, what are my values, where do I fit in this world, then those changes are often going to be temporary. When the superficial behavioral changes are no longer convenient, we're going to revert back to whatever our culture tells us or our brokenness tells us or our context tells us. And this is such a beautiful program because we're working in the space of identity. And when
mm,
identity changes are made, those stick. Those
mhm,
stick through the hard times and the easy times and the ups and downs of life. And so when challenges come, if these girls know who they are, they're uniquely prepared to handle them and confront them. And so, absolutely, I would say tackle doing a princess club. It's a beautiful way to begin long-term relationship with girls in your community. It's a beautiful way to start to train people in the community on how to continue this work after you're gone, as we talked about, to having someone, partner with you on the ground so
mm,
that if you're a missionary or an expat or someone that is not normally in that context when you leave, that you leave behind someone uniquely prepared to continue to do things like that, to
mm.
continue the relationship of encouragement with the girls, and to be that unique voice, spreading hope and spreading encouragement and spreading dignity
Yeah.
in the community.
Amen. And boy,
Yeah.
is it special when we have the opportunity and we can speak about Jesus and the Father and invite kids who are, when it's appropriate, we can invite kids to hear from
Yeah.
God Himself, what He says about us.
Mhm.
It's like an icing on the cake that we can use those powerful truths. Thank you so much, Andrea, for coming and sitting with me for a little bit with
Yes.
our recorder on. Hopefully, we can do it again sometime and deeper dive into one of the subjects or
Yeah.
something. So I would love that.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you for having
Yeah.
me, Amy. It's a
All
pleasure.
right. Bye.